email address listed. Should I start over?
Yeah, can you start? Yeah.
Yes, of course. Good morning. Today is January the 26th. This is a Public Works hearing. My name is Dadisi Najib, the hearing officer for San Francisco Public Works, and Lay is the clerk of the hearing today. This hearing is being recorded via Zoom and will be available afterward through a link on the San Francisco Public Works website, sfpublicworks.org. As this is a virtual hearing, there is no sign-in sheet, so if you would like to receive information about the results of this hearing, please send an email to the email address listed on the hearing notice. This public hearing is being held to consider 3 items. Order number, 211293, to consider notice of violation number 113024-063-001. This violation is for the non-compliant display, occupancy, refusal to cease vending, and or relocate. The second one is item number 4, hearing order 211304, which has been canceled for today. This was to consider notice of violation for 121624-042-001. The violation is improper restoration at 798 Post Street. So again, that one is canceled. And then the fifth, item number 5 on the agenda today, which will be our second hearing that we will hear, is 211317. This order supersedes Public Works Order number 211313 to consider the revocation of street vending permit 24 VDR-00169 issued to Nanan Wang. So before we start, there will be an opportunity for public comment. Members of the public may address the hearing officer on matters that are within the department's jurisdiction, but not on today's agenda. Okay. My job as the hearing officer is to gather facts for the hearing item, listen to your testimonies, and help our Director of Public Works make determinations. I will not be making any decisions today. I will instead forward the findings from this hearing and make my recommendations to our director. The director will make the final determination. Once the director's determinations are made, the department will notify you of them if you have provided contact information. The hearing will proceed as follows for the following 2 cases. Number 211293 and 211317. I will ask Public Works staff to speak first and present the case. There is no time limit for this presentation. Then I will allow the property owner or appellant or applicant to speak. Then lastly, any member of the public or witnesses who want to speak. Each speaker will have up to 3 minutes. The clerk will monitor the time for all speakers and will indicate when the speaker has 30 seconds left. If you are a party to this proceeding, I will call on you to speak. If you would like to use visual materials in your presentation, please let me know before you speak. You will then have the standard 3 minutes to provide your comments. If you are a member of the public or witness who wants to speak, wait for me to call for public comments, then use the Zoom's raise your hand feature if you're on a computer to put yourself in the queue to speak. If you're dialing in on your phone, dial *9 to indicate that you're raising your hand when it's your turn to speak, and we will recognize you. And if you're on your phone and you're muted, press *6 to unmute yourself. So it's *9 to raise your hand and *6 to unmute yourself. If you would like to use visual materials in your presentation, please let me know, and you'll have the standard 3 minutes to provide your comments. Comments and questions should be addressed to me and not to the department or the applicant. If you cannot finish your comments within the allotted time, you may submit written testimony to me by the end of this hearing. If I feel that a question is warranted, I will ask the question. After all comments are completed, I will close them. We will now begin the hearing. At this time, I will open the hearing to public comments. This is the chance for members of the public who want to make comments on matters that are within our department's jurisdiction, but not on today's agenda. Are there any public comments at this time?
I don't see anybody raising their hand.
Okay. If there are no comments for this item, I will close this item. The first item on today's agenda is 211293. Excuse me, to consider notice of violation. The violation is for a non-compliant display or occupancy, refusal to cease vending and or relocate at the Embarcadero and Taylor Street. Public Works.
Good morning, everyone.
Good
This is
morning.
Senior Inspector Hayward from Code Enforcement Division. This is in regards to Public Works Order number 211293. The location of this was on Embarcadero and Taylor Street. As you see here is the order. I'll get right to the history and our view of the event as it happened. On November 30th, 2024, street inspectors from San Francisco Public Works approached Mr. Sanchico and advised him that he was in violation of multiple city and port ordinances. He was given a notice of violation and afforded an hour to remove merchandise and equipment from an adjacent, clearly marked vendor location, which he was occupying in violation of Public Works Order 206887, as well as Port of San Francisco administrative regulations. He became confrontational. A Public Works supervisor was notified and visited after the hour had elapsed. Mr. Sanchico once again refused to comply and was issued another notice of violation with a fine. Mr. Sanchico has been the recipient of multiple verbal warnings in the past. Here we see his appeal letter, which I believe he will address. This is the actual notice of violation. This is the second one that was issued, as you can see circled right here, a $250 fine, refusal to cease vending and relocate, and a non-compliant display. This is the original markings. These are the markings that are done by the port. Any vendor has to be contained in one of these spaces, which are clearly marked here. This would be E2. So these are two spaces as we see right here. This is Mr. Sanchico's display. Now, granted, he had two displays at this time, one for himself and one for his wife. But since the other person wasn't present, he was only able to legally, or according to our code, have one of them. As you can see here, even with the confines of these spaces, he is over. We see here, this is a marking, he would be over here. This between E1 and E2, he is going across what should be a dead space. Pardon me. These are some of the merchandise and the wares that he was selling. According to Public Works Order 206887, C, Business Registration and Proof of Ownership, vendors must clearly display a copy of their credentials, including business registration and vending permit, while actively engaging in vending in the public right of way. Mr. Sanchico had his on his phone. It was not clearly displayed. That's a violation. Pardon me, sorry. Additional requirements would be that permits may not be transferred. Vendors must prominently display the permit that corresponds with the vendor's business activity while vending. Once again, this was not displayed in violation of our ordinance. According to Port of San Francisco administrative regulations for mobile vendors, this is in regards to vending equipment. The vending equipment may not be more than 10 feet in length, 10 feet in depth, and 10 feet in height, including wheels, axles, umbrellas, tents, or canopies, and other appurtenances. When in use, the umbrella, tent, or canopy shall not exceed 10 feet in height as measured from ground level to its highest point. The umbrella, tent, or canopy must be made of a sturdy and safe material and must be attached and anchored to the vending equipment. Once again, as we see here and here, this was not adhered to, so in violation of port and city ordinances. This is the invoice levying a $250 fine for non-compliance. And I believe this is what Mr. Sanchico is trying to get amended or thrown out today. If there are any questions, I would be happy to answer them. But I think that the evidence speaks for itself. This is very letter of the law.
Does that conclude your presentation, Mr.
That
Hayward?
concludes my presentation. Thank you very much.
Okay, I have two quick questions just to clarify This vendor has an active permit. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, but it
So
was not on display.
was not on display,
Okay.
and that would only pertain to one of these spaces.
So he was occupying two 10 by 10s.
That is correct. And his
And the
argument was
second
that
one,
the second
ahead.
one should have its own separate
okay,
with that person on site.
and that person has to be on site to be, and that person is his wife, correct?
According to him, yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Is the appellant here today, Mr. Senchico, or a representative? Crystal, are you interpreting? You're not interpreting for Mr. Senchico, correct?
No, I'm not. I'm
on this
interpreting
item.
for the
Okay.
Second one. Okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay. Guest number 1415 needs raise their hand. They need to talk.
Okay.
Hello. You can start talking now. Can you hear us?
If you need to unmute your phone, you should dial *6 to unmute yourself.
Yes. She okay
Yes.
now.
Perfect.
Can you guys hear me now? Good morning.
Yes.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, members of the city. Sorry, I was having a little trouble unmuting myself. Yes. Hi, my name is Diego Senchico. I am a vendor at the port of the Fisherman's Wharf. For this, the reason why I'm appealing this, it's because yes, definitely, whatever the gentleman mentioned, that this incident, this happened on this day. I was definitely, I had a 10 by 10 booth. I didn't have my permit physically present at the moment, but I do have it on my phone. Also, that same day, according to the port's rules, we are not allowed to take over any other spaces anytime before 10 a.m. because it is a lottery-based spots, right? So there's nobody has the right to set up there unless the other vendor doesn't come after 10 a.m. Then the space is it's open for anybody else, any other vendor with a permit to take over. So that day, my lady and I, we were both decided she has her own permit. I have my own permit. At this point, because we both work together, sometimes, it is necessary for us to take breaks or for us to any case of emergency. She added me on her contract as a part user, so I can be present and be whenever if she needs a break or if she needs some kind of relief, I can be in charge of her booth. So she added me in her contract as that person. Now I explained this to the port at that moment because my wife she had to go. My daughter was having some kind of like difficulties with her health. She was, I guess, going through a flu. And in the moment she went back home thinking that, she's going to go, change her up and whatnot, and she will be back. So I told the port authority she'll be back within an hour. When she came back, she was there for like 10 minutes, but my daughter was still not feeling well. She was just like not having it. It was a bad day, fever and all this stuff. So as you can see, selling in the port, it's a wide open space. It's kind of like not a good ambience or a good setting for a child to be just staying there for like 8-10 hours a day, because we do have, those are how long our hours, our work hours are, and it's in the cold, it's in the hot, it's in the sun, it's in the wind. So I assumed, I told my lady, go ahead, go home. I'll explain this to the port, hopefully they have some kind of reasonable, since we do have two permits. I had both of the permits with me at the same time, But however, like I said, my lady at this point was we had to make it make that call that she needed to just go and take care of her child while she's sick. So yes, the port came and asked me to make it smaller, to bring it down to one spot. But I told them that my lady will be back. Then later, my child got sick and more, so she left. And then I told them that that I am as part of her. My name is under the contract to be here as well. But then they started saying that that she needs to. That's only allowed for breaks only and for relief. That she needs to be there all day pretty much. So I get it. I get what they're saying. But unfortunately, my child got sick, and we are both one, and we both work. This is our source of income, and we're not asking the government for money. We're not going around stealing. We're just trying to make a decent type of living. And for this, they came aggressive, telling me to shut it down now. And no sympathy, and just they just wanted to do what they do. And I told them, you know what, if you guys want to do that, do your job. Do your job. If it makes you guys feel any better by citing me $1,000 right now when I'm going through all this, okay, you know what, I'll take it. But I am gonna fight it, because this is, there's other things going on in the city, more reckless behavior from other folks, and then you guys are really like giving me a hard time because I'm just trying to make a decent living. Anyways, I just felt it wasn't right. So yes, I did get a little confrontational with them. Nevertheless, I didn't go beyond my limit of just speaking what was going on in the moment. I was frustrated. So yes, I didn't comply with them by bringing it to a smaller, because I thought my name was in the permit as well, as that I can use on her behalf. So of course that wasn't listened. No sympathy towards my child and the situation, and to make it even more more broader, because we all vendors know each other. There is other vendors out there that have employees, and same thing, like they are not the owners of the permits. They are just the employees, and they are there all day, and they're not even and they're not doing their job on investigating those folks over there. And everybody, the rest of the vendors know about this specific vendor that has multiple employees, yet they know that that's not the actual owner of the permit. Yet they're just there all day, every day. Like they're not doing anything about those guys. So I'm not trying to, throw dirt on the other vendors, because I'm sure they're all they're trying to work as well. But if they're gonna do the job fair, like do it right. Like make sure you guys actually get on everybody and break down the way you guys want to break down the codes. You can't just come and just start like giving out tickets like we will have $1,000 just to spend on just throw it out like that. I don't think it's fair. So yeah, it is an unfortunate situation for myself. But I feel like I have a valid reason to be out there, and I wasn't stepping on nobody's toes, stealing people's spots, and not letting anybody else work. It was just the situation was what it was. I was already there after 10 a.m. and I just happened to have two spots with me and my lady, but unfortunately she wasn't able to be there because of our child situation. And I believe that's pretty much all I have in defense. I don't have any proof of my child being sick other than my word. And, like I said, I only have in this life as all I have is my word, right now. And I wouldn't be over here exposing myself to this if I was in the wrong, but I feel like a little bit of sympathy, a little bit of compassion is what I needed, in the moment. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Sinchico. I'm not sure if you were being timed or not. It seemed like it was a little bit more than 3 minutes. I just have a few questions. This is
Sorry about that.
Mr. Najib. You acknowledge that the port staff asked you to condense your space, correct? And they explained to you, and you understood and acknowledged that, right? But you didn't comply, correct? Because
Well, I mean, at that moment, I thought that I was in the right because my lady has her own spot, so she has her own
Right.
permit. So because
Right.
she put me under her contract as a part user also, I figured that what was the problem. So I was a little bit ignorant at that moment, you know, but and so I didn't realize that it was such a big deal until like they came
Okay.
later on with the ticket.
Yeah, okay. Okay, that was my only question. Thank you so much. Is there anyone else that wants to speak on this issue? Any member of the public or witnesses that want to speak on this item?
I don't see anybody raise their hand
Okay.
beside guest number 1415.
That was Mr. Sinchiko?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have any further questions. Thank you, Mr. Sincheko, for your time. Thank you, Paul from Public Works for your presentation. We're gonna move on to the next hearing, order number 211317. This order supersedes Public Works Order number 211313 to consider the revocation of street vending permit 24VDR-00169 issued to Nanan Wang. Public Works?
Hi,
Can you
good
make
morning.
your
This is
presentation?
Gregory Slocum with the Bureau of Street Use and Mapping. Can you hear me?
Yes, Gregory. Thank
I
you.
believe I need to be added as a panelist. It's not allowing me to share my screen.
Okay, she'll take care of that.
Okay. And hold on for a minute.
Hello, Gregory. So can you pause every slide so I can do the interpretation
Okay, I've moved you
during
to
the presentation?
panelists.
Hi. I am in now, and it appears that I am able to share my slides. Are you ready?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Are you able to see my screen right now?
Not yet.
Okay. Let's get this in. Are you able to see our slides right now?
No. Oh yeah, we can see it now. Thank you.
All right. This is to consider revocation of street vending permit 24VDR-00169. Just a little bit of background. Public Works are responsible for issuance of vending permits on port property. We also assist with inspection and enforcement therein. The port has defined permissible locations for vending. Vending locations are depicted on a publicly available map. Most of these sites are available on a first come, first served basis. There are a few select locations that are restricted to ensure accessibility and regulate impact on pedestrian traffic and use of facilities. Some of these locations are administered through a lottery selection, but most of them are first come, first served.
OK， 你好，接下来我们在讨论进行撤销许可证编号24VDR00169的听证。三藩市公务局是负责批准和发放一些街头销售许可证，范围包括三藩市港口范围内的许可证的。然后这些许可证的划分范围呢，是由港务局提供，这些范围都可以在公开的地图上查看。所有的销售区皆遵循先到先得原则。然后有一些划分的区域，我们将要考虑到对行人和公众使用港口设施的影响。Thank you.
Thank you very much. Some additional background. Public Works inspectors typically seek to offer informational outreach as our first point of intervention. For example, we would explain to someone that they're not allowed to vend where they might be located, but we would encourage them to find a permissible location. So we're seeking to inform or educate and not punish on our first intervention. If we experience sustained non-compliance and someone will not listen to our directives, this intervention may escalate to a correction notice or a notice of violation. The subject vendor for this case was subject to notices of violation on December 9th, 30th, and 31st. They were vending at a location that is not permitted or on a mapped location for vending by the port. On December 9th, when a public works inspector attempted to issue them a notice of violation, they were pepper sprayed and a corresponding incident report was filed.
接下来有一些额外的案件的背景介绍。首先呢，三藩市公务局的检察员通常都会先以沟通方式，还有提供一些信息性的外展服务作为第一个接头销售主的一个方式的。通常我们会说，你不能在这一个范围内摆摊，可是你可以在另外一个范围内摆摊。如果我们的工作人员多次接触沟通之后都没有办法得到对方的改正或者是遵循我们的规定的呢，我们通常就会把这个口头的方式升级到发出一个书面的通知，包括一个改正的通知，或者是发出罚单。这次讨论的街头摊贩主呢，在12月9号、12月30号以及12月31号都收到了我们的罚单，因为罚单的内容就是在不被允许的禁售区内摆摊。然后在12月9号的一次接触里面，我们公务局的检察员尝试要开出书面的罚单的时候，遭受到了胡椒喷雾的攻击，然后我们对此进行了记录以及上报。Thank you.
Thank you. In conclusion, this vendor is not operating in good faith, as demonstrated by repeated interventions for the same issues. They've not complied with directives issued to them by Public Works, as demonstrated through these notices of violation. As a result of sustained and repeated rule breaking, we're seeking to revoke their permit due to non-compliance with applicable rules and regulations. I am here to respond to any questions should you have them.
所以我们的结论，也就是今天申诉的结果呢，也就是今天我们进行陈述的意愿呢，就是通过多次的沟通，公务局发现该许可证持有人没有按照许可证签发的时候规定的规则，还有就是法律进行合法合规的经营，所以我们希望可以撤销这个许可证。然后如果有任何问题的话，也可以进行申诉。Thank you.
Thank you for translating. That's all I have to present today.
Thank you, Mr. Slocum. Crystal, is the applicant or the appellant is allotted their time of 3 minutes. Actually, to account for the, I don't know how you all, clerk, how we want to handle this because of the interpretation time that it takes. Do we still give them 3 minutes or?
It's up to you, officer.
Yeah.
Normally we
actually,
do
I can-
give 2 3 minutes, but it's up to
Okay.
you if you allow them. Yes.
I will allow a longer,
Okay.
up to 6 minutes to allow
Okay.
for interpretation, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Or I can have the appellant to finish their statement in 3 minutes, and I can do the
Okay.
interpreting.
Okay,
So
that'll
will
be
it be
fine.
easier? Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Should I ask the appellant to raise
To
their
begin,
hand?
Yes, please, they
Oh,
can
ra-
begin.
Raise their hand or to begin? Actually, which one I should
If
instruct them
they're
to do?
muted, they can unmute themselves and start speaking, if you can ask them.
你好，娜娜，现在你可以按你自己的电脑里面，现在已经可以发言，你将会有3分钟的发言时间，然后我会把你的陈述翻译给其他工作人员。请问你知道怎么去unmute 你自己吗？就是让你自己的声音可以听到吗？
Can you ask them to raise their hand so I know which one that they need to talk so I can allow them to talk? Thank you.
Yeah, Jackie, it's Mark is the appellant.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mark, you need to talk?
They are the appellant.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they type in the chat.
Just let me know when you need to talk so I allow you to talk. Just raise your hand.
娜娜你好，请你在屏幕的下方按举手的按钮，然后我们的工作人员就可以让你发言。
Okay, Mark raised his hand, so I'm gonna allow him to talk. Okay, Mark, you can start.
你现在可以开始了。
听见吗？
You know how to unmute yourself? Okay.
首先这个事情不像对方说的那么简单，因为对方的话就是有一个公务局的黑人工作人员，他是基于这个种族和我对这个特朗普的支持，对我进行的这个仇恨和骚扰。我曾经在那个公务局规定的位置摆摊儿，然后别人听音乐都没事，我听音乐他给我开罚单。还有就是别人可以摆摊儿，我去摆摊的时候他不让我摆，我问他原因，他就说我骚扰他。然后我到另外一个地方摆摊儿，他曾经暴力把我这个美国国旗给撕碎，然后还想那个攻击我，并且我在人行道给他录像的时候，他还开车撞我，我这些都有这个视频证据。对方公务局刚才跟我说，我向对方那个喷胡椒那个喷雾，的确我是喷了，但是是基于对方对我这个生命有安全威胁的情况下，我才进行了这个正当防卫，我并没有攻击对方，我只是正当防卫。所有的这一切都是基于这个我的种族和我对特朗普的支持，所以那个黑人的工作人员就是对我的这个仇恨报复。我也多次报警，有报警记录和那个警察报告。我说了，你能听见吗？
我能听见，如果你说完的话，你跟我说，然后我可以进行翻译。
好的，就是还有就是，不管我在哪边摆摊儿，都有很多人摆摊儿。那个黑人的话，他所有人都不管，他只是针对我而已，而且他还把我的个人信息，本身我支持特朗普就是冒着很大的危险，因为经常有人就是骚扰和攻击我，然后他还把我的个人信息利用他的那个公权力公布于众，直接贴在那个广场上面，让所有人都可以看到我这个个人信息。而且的话，我甚至怀疑，就是在前不久，我就是下班回家的路上，就是被另外一个黑人抢劫、暴力抢劫、持枪抢劫和攻击，也是他就是安排的人，只不过我是没有证据。我当时跟警察也这样说了。我说完了。
Okay, he finished his statement, and I'm now for my interpreting. So, the appellant, here's the interpreting. Actually, the truth was not as simple as the public works inspector implicated or stated. The inspector is an African American, and I was attacked or discriminated by my race and my support to President Trump. I thought it's a hate, and I was harassed. I always have my vendings on a defined spot, like every other vendors did. But when I listened to music, I was not allowed by the inspector, while every other vendors were allowed to listen or play their music via a speaker. When I was on the sidewalk, I was attacked violently by the inspector. They tore my US flags into pieces, and I was attacked several times on the sidewalk, and I was hit by a car by the inspector. I have video proof for that. So I felt my life was threatened, and I did spray the inspector with the pepper sprays, but I feel like it's more a self-defense instead of threatening others. I really think my case was about a discrimination of my race and my support of Donald Trump. And I filed several police reports and have the case number with me. And there are many vendors on the plaza, but I was the only one targeted, especially the inspector posted my personal information on the plaza. Due to my support to President Trump, I was already in a very federal and honorable place. And there's one incident on my way to home. I was targeted by gunpoint. I really suspected it was instructed by the inspector, but I didn't have any proof. I also filed a police report and told the police so. So I made my case like this, and here was my statement. Thank you. I did the interpreting.
Thank you, Crystal. That concludes, and the person who was just speaking, that was the appellant of the actual, the person who's named, what is that person's name? All I saw was Mark, and that's not the name that's associated with this, Nanan Wang. Is Nanan Wang and Mark the same person?
Let me ask. Sorry, I didn't know.
Thank you.
你好，请问你是那个许可证持有人上面的名字 Nanan Wang 吗？请问你可以说 Yes, he is.
Can you ask him how long he's been a street vendor?
请问你已经做了，就是在这个地方摆摊摆了多久？
San Francisco specifically.
在三藩市，尤其是在三藩市市内摆摊摆了多久？
我是从去年，就从23年年底开始摆的，然后具体哪一天我不记得了。然后最开始的话，他没有要求这个许可证，后来要求这个许可证，然后我就去办了这个许可证。但是我即使办了许可证，那个黑人工作人员他也不让我摆摊，但是别人可以摆。
Okay, I began last year, the end of 2023, but I forgot exact date on when I started. In the first place, there was no permit required, and then when the requirements came, I applied for the permits, but I wasn't allowed to vend there like everybody else.
Okay. I may come back and ask one more quick question. Greg, I have a question. And I was following what you were saying, but his actual, aside from hearing about this issue of him pepper spraying our inspectors and being attacked, allegedly, initially, what was his violation for? Was just overall non-compliance in the space, or?
It was the operator was vending at a location that is not within the port's allowable space.
Okay.
Give me one moment here and I can perhaps illuminate. Let's see here.
And when that happens, if they have, like in his case, I guess he has a permit to vend, but he was vending outside the allowable space. How do we typically handle that? Are they, are they asked to move and find a space that's allowed?
Yes, most
Okay.
typically. Can you see my screen right now?
Yes.
So the information that I'm sharing with you is posted on our Public Works website.
Mm-hmm.
And we have several sheets and maps that define allowable areas for vending.
Mm-hmm.
And these were reviewed and approved by the port and then provided to us. We provide these to all vendors. They're accessible on our website. And so when a vendor is vending outside an allowable area, we would remind them that these sites are all available on a first come, first served basis.
Right.
And we would explain to them, why where they're at is not allowable which is to say it's
Right.
not enumerated. So we do have some visual aids that we seek to use as well, because it's a lot more helpful in many instances. And if someone's vending in an area that's not defined on those maps, it would be considered impermissible.
And so you stated that he'd been advised of that several times and was not compliant. In other words, chose not to relocate himself to a proper location. And then that's when this confrontation.
Correct. And then from the information I presented today, they've been cited at least 3 times.
Okay.
So that means they've received warnings before those initial citations, and then they've
Gotcha.
been cited for the same offense repeatedly. Which is why we're recommending revocation of the permit,
Right.
which is to say we haven't been successful in
Mhm.
gaining cooperation through information.
Okay. It's clear now. Thank you so much, Gregory. Is there anyone else that wanted to speak on this item? I think,
I don't see
Jessica,
anybody raise their hand. Anybody want to talk?
yeah, I
Just
think
raise your hand.
Jessica Salome wanted to speak, or at least asked to be added as a panelist. I don't know if she.
I did ask
Oh,
her
you
to
did?
add
Okay.
her, yeah.
Okay, great. Jessica, did you want to comment
I'm
on
good,
this one?
Denise. Thank you.
Okay, good. Okay, excellent. All right, well, are there any other members of the public who wish to make comments? I don't think there's anyone else on this call
No,
in the hearing.
nobody raised
Okay.
their hand.
So if there are no more comments for this item, I will now close this item and make my recommendations to the director. If
Oh,
there's-
there's a one guest raised their hand. Is this the
Okay.
same person?
I don't know. I can't see.
I believe that's
Ah,
Mr. Sanchico.
If he wants to speak on this item, he can, but he can't speak on his item.
okay. Do you allow him to talk?
If it's for this item, it's a separate
Okay.
item. It's not his. But
Okay.
if it's for this 211317, he can speak on that. He's allowed to. That's my understanding of the rules.
Okay, I'm gonna let him talk and
3
see if he
minutes.
want. Yeah.
Time, 3 minutes, please.
Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Sinchico, you have 3 minutes to speak on item 211317.
Okay, yes. So I can speak on, it's actually just more of a general kind of comment, but it comes kind of like related with all this. Just I guess a little maybe suggestion, recommendation for the city people. I know they're working hard. It's their job to maintain things in order. It's really appreciated at the same time. And for the opportunity as well to be able to have a vending space at such a privileged place like the Fisherman's Wharf, and for that I really appreciate it. But also at the same time, I want to just to like make sure that they're also doing their investigations right according to who has permits that corresponds to the people that actually own the permit. Like we said, there's vendors that are there hogging on the spaces, putting tables like at midnight, like just like not letting other folks be able to sell at these booths, but they're not even the actual owner of the permits. They're just nothing but they're just employees of the actual owners. So if they wanna really control and maintain fairness for all of us, to please do the investigations. But furthermore, that's all for me. I really don't have nothing else. I just want it to be fair, and that way everything can just run along smooth at the pier as well for all the vendors. That's all I have, officer. Thank you very much, you guys. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you. If there are no other comments for this item, I will now close this. For those of you, if anyone arrived late who did have a chance to speak, please do so now. I don't think there's anyone else left on the call. If there are no more public comments, I'm closing this hearing. This hearing is now closed. Thank you.